Hello and welcome back to Humanizer, our free and open source 3D character creator for Godot 4. It's based on the Make Human program and MPFB2 plugin for Blender. So we have pretty big news today. We've made the version 1 beta release, and so I wanted to show you how to get that installed in your project, and I'll go over all of the features after that as well, in case this is the first time that you've seen the Humanizer plugin. And before I get started, big thanks to our patrons, Terrence, Artigas, Alexander, Gregory, Bert, and Fernando. Thank you all so much for your support. We really appreciate it. And if you want to help us continue adding features to our free and open source plugin, I'll put a link to the Patreon in the description. First, you'll need to go to the Humanizer GitHub repository, and under the releases, navigate to the version 1.0.0 beta tag, and then you'll want to download either the source code zip or the tar.gz. You don't need both. So I've already downloaded the zip file, so I'll open up my downloads and extract the zip. And you'll want to rename the folder to just Humanizer with a lowercase h and without the version. Then you'll need to make a new Godot project, or you can add it to an existing one. So I'll just make a new project with Godot. And then I'll go back to the downloads and copy this folder, the Humanizer folder, into the new project. So you'll need to make a new folder called add-ons if it's not already there, and then just paste the Humanizer folder in directly to your new game project add-ons folder. And then you'll need to let Godot re-import all of the assets. Once Godot is done importing the assets, go to Project Settings, and under the Plugins tab, you'll want to enable Humanizer. And now you can either open the authoring scene from the in the add-ons folder, or you can create a new auto-updating Humanizer node. So you don't want to use the base Humanizer in a loaded scene because you want it to update with every change. So you can just add that to any scene, and you can put that under a viewport. So if you have a 2D menu, you can still have the creator there. And you can see that we have all of our options are available. And you can change the assets and everything. And as a quick side note, everything that I'm going to show you in the editor will also work in game. You just have to call these functions from whatever menu that you set up. And I will be updating my character menu at some point to work with this release. So I'll let you know when that is all set up, and you can use that as reference. As you can see, you can change the skin color to the different textures that are included with Make Human. And then we have a couple normals here as well. And you can see that it adds a bunch of muscle definition and pores to the character. So it makes a pretty big difference. And then you can also adjust the normal strength here in the material, and it will bake with that setting. So if you want to reduce it to like 0.3, you can see that it's a much less obvious, but it still adds some nice shading and realism to the character. So we have that. And it may help if you add a spotlight to your scene so you can see some of the shading, and like the eye color looks better if you have light directly on the character. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And by default, when you reload the character, it won't have any eyeballs, so you definitely want to add those. And the spotlight makes this a lot more, you can see the eye color much better. So if the eyes look kind of dull, then that's why. So you can see, you can change the eyes here, which is pretty cool. And you can also change the skin and hair color the same way. So some of the, so you can see she's more red, and this works better on the lighter skin textures. So we do have some like dark skin textures as well that won't work as well with this color overlay. So, and the hair as well. So the bob has a really light texture, and some of these have a darker texture. So you'll just want to set them to white if you want to use the natural hair color that the asset comes with, like so. And you'll probably want to give your character some eyebrows and eyelashes as well. And these are affected by the color picker for the eyebrows, so you can change that color. And then you'll probably want to give them some teeth and a tongue as well. So now we have all of the assets. Ooh, you can see they're all in there. Now we have all of the assets, all the body parts applied to the face. And you'll probably want to give the character some clothes, so you can click the clothes and give them a shirt and pants. We have shoes and hats as well, but there is some overlap issues. So once you equip the clothes, you'll probably want to hide the body vertices to get rid of the clipping here. And so what that does is it actually removes the vertices from the base mesh. And you can also hide overlapping clothes, and that works relatively well, but it does take a long time, so just keep that in mind. And by default, it will have the game engine retargeted rig. But if you go to the animation tree, you can see that Matt has retargeted these skeletons to work with the Mixamo animations. So you can pretty much download any animation, and he has a video on getting that to work. So, but you can see that there's no face bones on this rig. So if you want the facial mocap to work, you'll need to change to the default retargeted. So now you can see that it has all of the corresponding face bones. And in the animation tree, we have all of the different face pose animations, so the brows and the mouth and eyes and all of that. I think there's like 57 of them, but these correspond to the output of your facial mocap application on the phone. Another really cool feature is the rigged assets. So here, if I change the hair to the rigged ponytail, you can see that it actually has a bone in the hair. So, and those are all weighted based on the GLB file. So we do have further instructions on setting that up if that's something that you're interested in. But probably the most notable feature is the ability to change the shape keys. So you can set the age, and for the gender, it's female to the left and male to the right. And you can adjust the height and proportions, weight, and all of the generic macros as well. And then we have specific sliders for all of the every possible variation that you could want. So you can move the hips up and down, like so, and make the arms longer and the nose. Anyway, I've covered this before, so you'll just need to play around with all of these sliders to see what they do. And we do have some additional components up here. If you are interested, you can add the ragdoll, which adds collision shapes around all of the limbs, and it does work. It makes the character fall over realistically. And then you can use the root motion, which makes the animations orient from the hips instead of the feet, so you get a more like smooth animations. And we have the age morphs and size morphs, which keep some of the shape keys live after baking, so you can change those in real time without having to regenerate the character. So we have a lot of options here, but basically once you get your character all set up, so you can see all of these different nodes over here, and if you hit the standard bake, it will combine all of these nodes into two different meshes. So we have the opaque surfaces and the transparent surfaces, which is just the hair and the eyelashes basically. And then you can set the character name. This will be my human 2, and save to file. So this will create a new scene in the data folder of your project. And once it's done saving, you can open up the scene from the data humans my human folder, and you can just open this scene directly, and you can see here that we have the image textures as well. So we've combined all of the opaque textures into a single texture, which is done in the baking. So this is as compact as it can be, and then there's just two single meshes. So to use this in game, you'll want to create a new 3D scene, and you can drag your human into there. And if you look at the script, you can see that there's some movement controls, but this requires a camera, so I'll show you how to add that. And you will be able to change the default script, so if you want this to work differently, you'll need to just override that. But now you'll want to add your lighting and environment probably. And then I'll add a floor, so the CSG box, move that down a little bit, and set the size to 50 by 50, and turn on collision. So, and then you'll need the camera, like I said, so you'll want to add the camera 3D, and then so this is in the plugin under scripts and utils, we have a camera controls. So you'll attach that to the camera 3D, and then select the human and assign the camera here to the camera 3D. So now if you just save this scene somewhere, you can run the local scene and you can move the camera around with the WASD, and then the character you can run around with the arrow keys, and you can see that the animation tree is working. And if you hit the spacebar, you can enable the ragdoll physics. So space again to make her stand back up. So you can see that there is a lot of functionality, but you will probably have to modify some of this to suit your needs. So I hope that this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions, if anything isn't working. But I really appreciate you watching, and hope you have a great day.